Hello traders and happy new year. Today is Wednesday, January 1st, 2025. First video of the year. I'm going to start with a firm. Keep in mind, this is not financial advice. This content is for educational purposes only. Make sure to do your own homework and due diligence before you risk your money in any type of investments. Okay, let's talk about a firm. Last time I spoke about a firm was on Sunday, the 29th. I was looking at this candle right here, this Friday 27th candle. And what I was warning or worried about was not being able to hold the 35 SMA and actually breaking support at 61.6. Well, that actually happened on the last trading day, which was yesterday, Tuesday 31st. And now we're closing, right under 61. We are at 60.9. We went down for a firm 2.76%. MACD and TSI is still looking bearish, and I think they have more room to continue going down. What I mentioned on the 29th is that we are possibly going to go down if we break support towards 65.6, 56, or even lower towards 51.5. If that is the case, there might be a little more opportunity to buy to the upside. I think that some of these names are gonna, cool down and then give you another leg to the upside. But for now, I think that we are not looking too good, meaning we're probably gonna start breaking some support levels. We're gonna hit, in my opinion, 55.6 sometime soon, maybe by Monday or so. We have low liquidity in this area. You also have low liquidity towards 51, so keep that in mind. But for now, let's just keep an eye on this level of support. A lot of the sell-off has to do with profit taking, number one, and number two, we are also experiencing what happens a lot during the end of the year, and that is tax harvesting loss, which is basically when you are selling non-profitable investments that are at a loss in order to offset or reduce your capital gains taxes. So that's probably what we are seeing in a way. Now, I personally don't know if we are gonna see buyers stepping in the next 2 days. We'll see what happens next week. I'm curious about it. But in the next 2 days, you can probably get very close to 55.6, and you're probably going to get close or break support levels in a lot of names in the next 2 days. But again, we don't know what's going to happen next week and how things are going to look next week. But for now, things don't look too bullish, at least towards the end of the week. Again, keep an eye on 55.5 as your support level. I think that we are gonna go, we're gonna hit 58 pretty quick since you don't have a lot of liquidity. And the next 2 days, we still might have low volume, which is also, not very helpful if you want things to go to the upside. And again, you have strength to the downside for now, at least. Now let's move on to the next name, and that is AMD. And another thing that I mentioned on the 30th, which was 2 days ago, that was Tuesday, is my concern about breaking this level of support. So this is another stock that I've been following and that is breaking support. Now, if this trend continues, you're going to hit 111, which you cannot see here, right here, but you can see it right here. So 111, 112, let's say. Let's see how much liquidity you have. Well, liquidity is not bad in that area, to be honest. But I do think that if you don't reclaim this level of resistance now, which is 121, it's 121.7, I believe. Yeah, 121, let's call it. You're probably going to see a little more pain. Now, one of the things that I like about AMD is, and this is already experience a lot of selling. So sooner than later, this is actually going to turn around and start moving to the upside. MACD and TSI are looking are not looking bearish or bullish, so they are more in the neutral side. The RSI is pointing down and about to cross a signal line. That's not too good. So we'll see what kind of volume or what kind of move we get tomorrow and the next day. But I think we should focus more on what is going to happen next week rather than what is going to happen in the next 2 days. I think next week is going to, set the pace for the next, for the following weeks, coming into earnings, which is starts now in January and towards February as well. So AMD is doing earnings on February, for example, but some names are already starting to present earnings this month. Again, we have to focus on 121.7, and let's see how this works. Let's take a look at the weekly. I want to see that on the weekly. It's still looking bearish on the weekly, and the monthly, I'm not too worried about the monthly. The monthly doesn't look good at all. So the monthly, you are right on the 3.5 SMA. So if this doesn't hold on the monthly, but I'm not too focused on this right now. The weekly, you're right above the 200 SMA and right on support resistance level. So which is pretty similar to what we're seeing on the daily. All right. So that's what we have for AMD, and now let's move on to my next name, which is ASTS. Well, I've been following ASTS. I've been following ASTS for a while. If you've been following the channel, I mentioned ASTS. It's a company that I personally like. Now, I don't know if 2025 is going to be a great year or a bad year for ASTS. I think that they still have a lot of headwinds coming their way. And one of the things that I'm seeing here, and I warn about for this name, is now you're breaking this level of support. Again, you have done it before and then came back. So now, and then you did it on Monday, and then you came back. And then on Tuesday, on Tuesday, you're closing under it. And this level of support is 21.2. You close at 21.10. With minus 3.26% for the day. This doesn't really look good. MACD and TSI were neutral. I like when they are flat, but the problem when these indicators are flat, and this is a characteristic of this type of behavior, when they move up very nicely. When they move down very nicely. Now in this case, this indicator is under a zero line. The TSI, is already diverging from the signal line. This is not a good look. We might end up meeting the 200 SMA. So this range breakout that I was hoping for might actually be invalidated, especially going to the upside. You have low liquidity under 21.2, and that can take you down all the way down to 14. So we'll see how this name is going to behave in the next few weeks. I really, as I said, I'm not too worried about the next 2 days, but if there is a lot of selling pressure tomorrow on Friday, you can actually encounter 16.8 very, very quickly. I think 14 is on the table, but we're gonna encounter a little bit of resistance on the 200 SMA. But again, you have low liquidity in this area after this move here that you had back in July. So you have to keep a close eye and see if we remount this level of resistance now, 21.2. And if not, then we're going to go down towards the 200 SMA, and therefore you're going to hit possibly 16.8. That's my level of support right now. Now let's move on to the next name, and that is AVGO. And let me take a quick note. AVGO doesn't look good either. MACD and TSI are already curling down towards the signal line, and this type of moves tell you that a continuation to the downside is going to come. Now, I mentioned AVGO on Sunday the 29th, so I was looking right to this candle right here, and one of the things that I said is, and this looks like a double top to me. Now we're coming down towards a neckline, and we'll see how we behave again in the next 2 days. But the problem that I have with AVGO right now is that the sector is not very strong. And also the market itself is experiencing a little bit of a sell-off for reasons that I just mentioned: volume, tax harvesting, and profit taking towards the end of the year. So if this tendency continues in the next days or maybe weeks, but I would say more days or maybe week and a half or so, we might encounter a more aggressive move towards the downside, going towards 187. You have a gap of liquidity here. You have it all throughout. So I do believe that we are at the least, if we continue going down, gonna meet the 35 SMA, and let's see how we react on that indicator. But if not, and if there is momentum, you're just gonna go through it as, you know, it's a 35-day SMA. You're just gonna cut through it and go towards 187, and we'll see how this level of support plays out. 173 is a stronger level of support, but for now, I think we have to keep an eye on how we are behaving in this area towards the gap, and then we can make decisions. But it's not looking bad to the downside. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 2 days I actually play this to the downside. That being said, I want to take a look at the 5-minute. Super choppy, but the last 2 trading days have been kind of hard, to be honest. And that is for lack of volume and lack of direction in general terms. Anyways, this is what we have for AVGO. I think this area right here is crucial, especially this neckline and coming into the gap. My next level of support is 187. Now let's move on to I have this. I did get rid of a lot of names on my list, and I think I'm gonna shrink it even more. So let's talk about Bitcoin. And this is not looking bad, to be honest. This is, you know, at least for Bitcoin, good news. You're holding this level of support, which I said before. This was on my last 2 videos. So on the 30th, on the 29th. I also mentioned Bitcoin back on the 21st, which was my last video before going on vacation. But anyways, let's focus on this. I did say that it was, you know, critical for us to maintain this level of support, which is 91.9, 92, let's call it. You know, on the 21st, we were looking at this candle right here. And I was already talking about the fact that we had to present a stronger level of support as far as price action. So we did. We actually are maintaining this level. Now, we don't know what is going to happen in the next few days or, you know, but the fact that this is maintaining this level is a little bit encouraging. I'm not going to lie. I like the fact that Bitcoin is getting so strong right here. You have a high level of liquidity in this area as well. So it might be this actually might move a little bit slow towards the 35 SMA and maybe towards 100 or 99.7. But if we take it day by day or candle by candle, this is not looking bad in my opinion. MACD and TSI are starting to slowly curl into the 0 line, but this still need more time. And again, since Bitcoin trades 24/7, we might actually see, you know, a different situation in the next few hours or maybe even days. But for now, what I'm seeing on these candles is actually encouraging. It's not looking bad. The RSI is actually looking good. It's pointing up and sorry, I just got a message, and is curling towards a signal line. That's not bad. It could be a predecessor to what might actually happen on the TSI, which is still down, and the MACD is also starting to cool up towards the signal line. The TSI, however, is still a little bearish. That's what I have for Bitcoin. And now let's move up or move back to this area of my list. And I want to mention CAVA. CAVA is one of those names, that is maintaining or actually had a green day. You know, this list, as I mentioned, doesn't look as bad as how it looked on Monday. On Monday, everything was red. On Tuesday, you could actually see a little bit of green here and there. Some names did pretty decent. Let's focus back on CAVA. And you had this reaction right on support. You didn't break support to the downside, therefore you're not feeling this gap. It's not looking too bad. The MACD and the TSI, the MACD is starting to cool towards a neutral move, kind of almost flat. And if we get another green day tomorrow, this is gonna turn into the signal line. The histogram is not looking bad. The TSI is still pointing down. The TSI is giving, still pointing strength towards a downside. And the MACD, I'm sorry, not the MACD, the RSI is coming from oversold back into the 30 level and pointing up towards the signal line. You have a very decent level of resistance here, so not resistance, of liquidity here. So I do believe that if we don't break this level of support, 110, which will bring you straight up into the 200 SMA at least, you still have an opportunity to go towards 126 or maybe get into range, which would be the best thing that could happen to CAVA right now. I've been talking about CAVA and mentioning the CAVA or saying that CAVA was overextended right from this level right here. And it actually had more steam to continue going up. But I was warning and telling my followers on X and here on YouTube that we were overextended and to proceed with caution for this name. And, you had this move after earnings, got completely rejected as far as bullish momentum, and then came down towards the 35 SMA and then broke the 35 SMA to the downside, broke support, and now we are at this critical level of support that if we break, we're going under 100, in my opinion, towards the 200 SMA at the least, which gets you right at 202. And if you break the 200 SMA, you're going towards 95. That's my opinion. But for now, this is looking a little bit better, considering that CAVA showed relative strength compared to the rest of the majority of the market. I shouldn't say the rest of the market. Now let's move on to the next name. 110 issue level of support for CAVA, by the way. Let's talk about HIMS. And I think that HIMS has, well, first things first. What I mentioned on the 30th, which was Monday. Yes, was it Monday or Tuesday? Monday. Yeah, on this candle right here, was that you were breaking this level of support, 25.5, and if you had a sell-off coming up, you're gonna hit 23.5 quickly. Well, it seems like it's happening. You were down on HIMS 3.9%, and now you are very, very close to this area right here at 23.5. Now, in my opinion, this is not a bad thing. Now, look how much liquidity we have added to this area right here, which was basically all the way back here not that long ago. 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had no liquidity here. This is good. I like seeing that. Now, I do think that we're going to go down towards 23.5. I wouldn't be surprised. And I think that 21.7 is still on the table. So my range at what point I believe was 21.7 and this area right here, which was 29.7. I like to give this type of ranges. I do the same with Tesla, for example, which gives me a little more of, I guess, long-term visibility on how the candles or the price action might behave. Now, why am I thinking about 18 or let's say the 200 SMA? I'm sorry, 21.7 or the 200 SMA is because the MACD and the TSI is still very bearish. The momentum to the downside is still there. I think we're gonna have a pretty decent of support at 23.5, and if it breaks 23.5, you're just gonna go down, maybe slowly towards 21.7. And I'm saying that because you have this volume shelf right here. If you continue going down, then the 200 SMA is gonna meet you, or maybe 18.83. Now, if we get down to 18, 1883 or 187, I see that as an opportunity to get back into HIMS. I think that HIMS is going to have a pretty decent year on 2025, but for now, I'm just stepping back and seeing this, perform, I guess, to the downside. I kind of saw this move back when we were up here on towards the end of November. I did trade some of these candles right here, but at that point I knew this thing. I think I sold my position here, and I had options, so I didn't have shares. And the reason for that is because it was already looking to extend it, in my opinion. I wasn't feeling comfortable with the look of this chart, so I was out. But I knew that this had to cool down, and you can go back to some of my videos. I cover him almost every day, and I was saying that this thing, once it breaks 29.7, it was just going to continue going down towards 25.5 and even lower levels. So my lowest level right now, at least for this week, and we have 2 more trading days, is 21.7. I think we're going to meet 23.5. And we might actually see ourselves next week at 21.7. Now, we really have to keep an eye on that level, 21.7, because if we break it, we're going to go straight to the 200 SMA and possibly break the 200 SMA and go towards 18.8. So those are your levels. 23.5 is what we have to keep an eye for tomorrow and Friday. I wouldn't be surprised if we break it to the downside, and then 21.7 will come pretty quickly. Now we can rebound on this area and see what happens, build more liquidity and whatnot. But for now, this is my level right here. My range is still up to 29.7. But to the downside, I'm a little more bearish for the next few days for HIMS, to be honest. Now let's move on to, what do I have? I have Meta. Okay, let's do Meta. Where are you? All right, Meta. Coming right on the trend line, one of the things that I warned on my last video was my concern about breaking under the 35 SMA. I think your next level of support is this trend line that you can easily go down towards 575. This level right here has a lot of liquidity. I don't think we're gonna go down towards 523 or anything like that, but at least for now, 575 is very, very possible, and we'll see how we behave in that area. I dislike the fact that we broke the 35 SMA like this, and we are sitting in this area, but we'll see how we behave in the next 2 days. Again, I'm a little bit more on the bearish side for tomorrow and Friday. I'm not too sure how I feel about next week and the following week. But for now, I think the market is just going to continue cooling down. I definitely welcome some green towards this week or next week, but or tomorrow and the next day. But we'll see how we behave. So this trend line is your area of support, which is right on 580. I think if we break 580, we're going straight to 575. MACD and TSI are not looking too good yet. They're very close to the 0 line. We might have a little more of a sell-off. I think that Meta is either going to bounce in this area and continue going towards 600, and but it might take a couple of more days. It might be choppy on towards support, and then we might rebound. We'll see how we behave. MACD and TSI are bearish, but they are not looking terrible. The RSI is looking a little bit. There's more divergence on the RSI, but they are, again, bearish, but they are not looking horrible, to be honest. It was down. Because I was looking at this. It was moving higher in the beginning of the day, and then it went down, and then on this double top on the 5-minute or triple top, it moved up, and then a massive sell-off towards the last minutes of trading. So we'll see how we behave tomorrow. I don't think there's going to be a lot of volume towards this week. Now let's talk about MicroStrategy, and after I take a note right here. What did I say last time? I didn't mention, I mentioned Microsoft instead of MicroStrategy. But I do believe that in the 29 on the 29th, I said that 280 was coming. I definitely said that on X. So, I still think that we're going to hit this level. If we break this level, we're going straight towards 230 or 228. It was down 4.4%. MACD and TSI is still very bearish. They are just about to cross the trend line. And let's measure this move so far. 47%. Not good. And I think this has more room to continue going down. Now, let's see how Bitcoin behaves in the next few days. Bitcoin is not looking too bad, to be honest. But we'll see how we behave on the next few days on Bitcoin. But 280 for sure is going to hit. We'll see what kind of reaction we get as far as price action coming into the support level, and see if we are just retesting and moving back up towards 361 or 360. But not too bullish, in this area right here. I think it was pretty obvious, to be honest. And once you broke 361 right on this candle, and you close under the 35 SMA, you tried to retest, you couldn't hold this level of, or you couldn't break resistance, and then you came down again. Now, again, 280 is where you want things to finish, or this move to finish. If you break 280, I think 230 is very, very possible. I don't have any other area of support under 280. Maybe we can consider 269, but I just don't want to. Anyways, not looking too good, but again, 280 is where you have to keep your eye on now. If you break 280, you're probably going to continue. That bleeding is going to continue. Now let's move on to another name, and that is Nvidia. And, the day before, or Monday, let's say, you had a nice green day, but this candle was also telling that sellers came back in. They couldn't push all the way down, but, you could see them, I guess. On this candle right here, I did buy September calls. So I did sell everything that I had, and then I repositioned for September calls. They're obviously red because yesterday we were down 2.3%, and I'm okay with that. But I really want to see, buyers coming in. MACD and TSI are not looking good. I wish I could say they are neutral, but they are not. In my opinion, they are bearish. They might look flat, but they are not. Especially the MACD. The TSI couldn't really do anything on the signal line, and is kind of pointing down. If you actually zoom in, it's not good. But we'll see what kind of reaction. I still like how Nvidia looks, though. I do believe that buyers could step in and come in, but 136 is such a strong level of support and resistance right now. It's kind of like 415 on Microsoft, like that level is so stubborn, and it's been a level of range, more than support and resistance. So it's turning 136 is becoming the 415 of Microsoft, so we have to see what kind of reaction we see. Now, if we go to the 5-minute, because I was obviously following this stock, it was a complete sell-off the whole day. It couldn't come back. It was trying to really push towards this level right here. It got rejected on resistance. It was support at one point, broke support, came to resistance, came down again, and then it just couldn't even go over the 35 SMA. As soon as it did, it came back down again. So we'll see. And now this is a 5-minute chart, so don't hold your breath for that. Nvidia has to come back. I think 130 is on the table. Be mindful of that. And we might actually rebound, but 136 is going to be one of those super stubborn areas of support and resistance. Again, kind of similar to 415 on Microsoft. If you want a little bit of color on what I'm saying, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This level right here looks like Microsoft, for example, is going to hit it again, and we'll see how we react on that one. Let's move on to oh, okay, I have let's talk about QQQ. And I don't mention QQQ very often, but I will this time. It's not looking good. If you actually put a trend line here, this is looking scary. It's not too good. So you're breaking under the trend line. You're right under a 35 SMA. You're right under support, which was 515. And it looks like we are going to hit 500 or 503 soon. MACD and TSI, as you can tell, are looking very bearish. Let's go to the weekly, how this looks. Kind of same. And you have a terrible candle right here, which... okay. So yeah, so you have a gravestone doji on the monthly. But again, you shouldn't be, I mean, I shouldn't say you shouldn't be that worried, but it's not a good omen, I guess. You know, it's not a good candle. You don't want to finish the month like that. But that being said, look what I just found here. And then you actually had a run to the upside. I don't think that the market is bearish yet. I just think that we have to be cautious in the next 2 weeks. And that's it. We're probably going to go down, or we might, I shouldn't say probably, we might go down towards 500, 505, which is fine if we do. And at that point, these indicators are going to be very close or under the zero line. And then you might actually see a curl back to the upside. So for now, I think we all should be very, very cautious. We should be very, very mindful as far as filtering what we see online, especially on X. I've seen a lot of people talking about this gravestone doji candle, yes. But you can see it in some other sides of the chart and do the complete opposite than what it's supposed to do. Now, let's see what is the... if I remember this correctly. So the success rate of this pattern is 51% for the doji candle. You know, so technically we're supposed to go down, but there is only 51% chances, statistically speaking, to go down. You have 49% chances and it's gonna go up. Anyways, keep in mind that, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we hit 500. I don't think it's the end of the world. You know, I don't think we are in bearish territory yet. I think it's a little bit too soon to make that kind of assessment. I think we are having a very nice correction, and we might actually have great opportunities to actually jump back into some names that left us behind. One of those names, in my case, for example, is HIMS. If it goes down towards 18.7, I would love it. If it goes down and retests 21.7, I would love it too. So that's what I'm seeing right now. But be mindful. You know, if you don't need to trade, and if you trade, really buy September calls, August, September calls. I moved my July calls to September calls. Just because, you know, I'm seeing a little bit of red, so I want to give my contracts more time. Let's move on to SPY. And give me 1 second. Okay. This is not looking bad, you know. Now you have the MACD and the TSI telling you that this is going to continue going down. Possibly, it could continue going down. But I love the fact that on Tuesday, we had the sell-off. And now you close right on this level of support, which is previous highs, by the way, from October 17th. I'm just looking at this, and I like to graph gaps. You have this gap right here, so be mindful of that. I think if you break support at 586, you can possibly go towards 175. But that's still not a bad thing. And you might actually retest this level and then continue going up. You're going to fill this gap. You're going to bring more liquidity in this area. And things won't, look as precarious, I guess, um, as we might actually think they are looking. Now we have, I just want to add this here. So that's what I have for SPY. Let's take a look at the weekly. It's not looking bad on the weekly. It looks extended. Let's get rid of this line right here. It looks extended on the MACD and the TSI. I'm not going to lie. It looks a little bit bearish on the TSI. But I think if you come down towards 575, this is going to look much better even on the weekly. Now the monthly is probably going to look, the monthly doesn't look that bad, to be honest. I don't know why I have two of this. So we'll see how we behave. Let's take a look at the 4-hour. And I don't need this type of. The 4-hour actually looks much better. Like you're sitting right on this level of support. You're closing right on it. So yeah, at least for what I'm seeing, at least as of the last candle that we're seeing, you're right on it. And it's not looking too bad. Let me go back to the 4, unless my eyes are crooked. No. But again, 575 should definitely be on your bingo card for SPY. There's a lot of liquidity in this area. That's very good. But there is a lack of liquidity here. You have a gap that might actually fill. And if we hit 575, I wouldn't be surprised. And you're going to rebound, retest this level and come back towards 586. And by then, these indicators are going to look much healthier. The RSI is probably going to be at 30 or maybe oversold. So, keep that into perspective. Now let's move on to my last name, and I want to go to Tesla. And what did I say last time when I mentioned Tesla? And that was on my last video. It was on the 29th. So it was on this candle right here. I said two things. One of the things that I said was, this looks like a double top to me. It does. Now you break that neckline, which is also this level of support, which is coming back towards 419, I believe, which is this high right here from November 2021. Now, that being said, we are well under this level of support. We broke 415. So in my opinion, we're just going to cut through the 35 SMA and we're going to meet 365, which is something that I said 2 days ago or on the 29th, 2 videos ago. So go back to that video, and Tesla is the last video, and they are time stamped. So you don't need to waste your time watching the whole thing. So yes, I'm still, my range is still the same. My range was all-time highs, 480 something, 489, I believe, and 365. Might be a gift if we get to 365, but I'm going to add to my range 330, which is this level right here. Now, why am I adding 330? Is because MACD and TSI are very extended, and they still have more room to continue going down towards the zero line. And at that point, if you have another crazy day like yesterday, 3.25 to the downside, you're probably going to be right under the 35 SMA. So you can actually get to this level, 330, very, very quickly within a week or so. Now, just remember this. Deliveries are coming for Tesla. I believe they are tomorrow. Now, there is a couple of things that are worrisome about it. The thing that worries me the most is that expectations are very, very high. And I do believe that if numbers come in line, or if, well, let's simplify my thought. I think that if Tesla doesn't beat delivery numbers, by a decent margin, I think this is going to sell off and it's going to be aggressive. So I still think that 330 is on the table because of that catalyst. But I think if they beat with a very nice positive margin as far as deliveries, you might start running towards 500. So keep that in mind. You have a major, I forgot this. We have a major catalyst coming, and we'll see how that works. But again, if we miss 330, I'm moving my range to 330, and there might be a great opportunity at that point to grab Tesla again. Um, so yeah, that's that. We'll see what we get for Tesla towards the end of the week. I think it's gonna be quite interesting. I think it's gonna be I don't know. The next 2 days for now, I think I'm a little bit bearish. I really hope to be wrong because I've been super successful at trading to the upside rather than buying puts and shorting, which some I do sometimes, but it's less stressful in my opinion. That being said, Happy New Year's, everybody. This year is going to be pretty amazing no matter what. You make what you want out of your life, I guess. So keep a positive mind always. And other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm gonna start posting on X again. I'm not gonna do it today. Again tomorrow. And there's a lot of value there. So follow me on X and subscribe and like the videos. Anyways, thank you so much. See you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.